why don't you tell my audience here listening? Why don't you tell where you're from, what you do for a living, how long you've been doing it, how many kids you have, how long you've been married? Can you remember that?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I live in Akron. I've lived here probably 10 years. I grew up in a small little like cornfield community called Smithville, Ohio. But I've lived here, for a decade plus. So I call this place home, Akron. What I do for a living, I do a little bit of everything. These days, I do a lot of affiliate management. I've been doing that for the bulk of the last 12 years. It's a lot of fun. I kind of fell into it on accident, but I fell in love with it when I was doing it. So it's something that I love to keep doing. Let's see. What were the other questions?
How long you been married? How many kids you have? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've been married 12 years. 12 years this last December. And I have one beautiful little baby girl. She just turned 2 in November, and it's been a blast.
Nice. What's her name?
Thea.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, Josh. Again, thank you so much for being on. I appreciate you joining our men's series here. I wanted to ask, I guess before we started, you said this is kind of like your start of your morning. What does your morning look like when you first get started in the day here with a 2-year-old?
I usually pop in. She sleeps pretty late, so she wakes up about this time too. So I'll pop in the morning and say good morning to her while my wife's kind of getting her up and changing her and getting her dressed. Most days I'll take the dogs out and feed them and get them all squared away. There's a bed in my office. They usually sit with me all day, but yeah, and I'll make some tea, a quick little breakfast sandwich or something like that, and just sit down and begin.
So tea drinker instead of coffee, right? Is that right?
I do love coffee. I do love coffee, but I don't know. I got it right now. It's like my Celestial Seasoning has this really delicious tea I'm into these days. So I've been drinking that a lot.
It looks like some sort of a passion fruit or a biscuit.
No, it's called Bengal Spice. It's like cinnamon in a mug.
Nice. Okay, sounds delicious.
Yeah.
As long as it has caffeine in it, that's what kind of matters to me. But well, just for everybody listening, I've known Josh for a decent amount of years here in the similar affiliate marketing space, and he volunteered to come on and talk to us about, Josh has been independent. He's also worked for people at affiliate marketing companies. And if you know anything about affiliate marketing, when you're working for a company, you kind of are on your own because it's up to you to go get traffic. It's up to you to go get affiliates. It's up to you to network. Right, Josh?
Yep.
Yeah. So that whole idea of, high achieving and making sure that you're the one that decides the fate of your income and everything is so true in this industry, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So how do you, I guess I did want to ask, like, how the heck your daughter sleeps in so late, but does she go to bed? I have to ask, does she go to bed?
We're lucky.
Late? Okay.
No, we're lucky. Since about night 4, she's been sleeping like 10 hours.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, that early we'd need to get up once and kind of change her and feed her, but
sure.
But now she goes to bed about 8:30, and she'll wake up anywhere between 9:30 and 10:30.
Nice. So you're mostly working out of your house. How do you balance, and does your wife stay at home?
Yeah.
Or she both? Okay. Yeah. So how do you balance deciding when to get up and say hi to your daughter and play with her a little bit and come back to work? And I mean, do you do it? Do you have a schedule, or do you just kind of wing it? What do you do?
I use like times I get up, I just kind of use those for more than just, why I'm getting up. So for example, if I'm going to the bathroom, I'll go to the bathroom and I'll pop downstairs and say hi to her, or if I'm going to get more tea or I'm going to grab lunch, it's actually really cool. Everybody being able to stay at home. And it does at times it'll create struggles because it's easy to get distracted. So I guess part of my staying focused is just staying in the office as much as possible.
Yeah.
They say don't leave the chair. If you don't leave the chair, you can stay at least semi-productive. So I don't leave the chair.
Yeah, that makes sense because you can get lost in the time of being out there with them.
Right. So they're more fun. No offense. I love what I do, but they're more fun.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I mean, I totally, I'm with you on that 100%. So 12 years you guys have been married. You guys have been married. I know how it is when she's home and you're home a lot, you see each other a lot. What do you guys think right now in your relationship? Because we're going to talk about your guys' relationship.
Okay.
What's your biggest struggle right now that you guys are, talk about most or are dealing with right now?
Um, Honestly, I'd say a lot of that is just finding time to do things together. By the time we get, between taking care of Thea and working, by the time we're done at the end of the day, we're just beat. And so we don't always make time for like doing things that are productive. By that time, we're just exhausted and we just kind of collapse on the couch and just hang out on the couch for a couple hours, and then she goes to bed. But um,
What do you guys watch?
it depends. We usually watch reruns of old primetime action or comedy shows. So like we just finished watching Psych again,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and we just started watching Burn Notice.
Wow. I wonder what's behind that, where you guys go back to old shows and watch them. That's interesting.
It's in some cases it's ones that we've seen before but we never finished. So we didn't get through them, and it's been long enough that we can go through. We can start over and just kind of watch them all over again.
Huh.
But yeah, it's fun.
Well, staying on that topic of you guys, what would be if I asked her and I said, what's the most wonderful thing about Josh? What would she say?
I have no idea. Part of what I love about her is that she thinks so differently than me, and so I'm not even sure I could venture a guess as to what that would be.
If you had to take a stab at it, what would it be that she would say?
That I take care of her and Thea, I guess. I don't know.
Way. What do you mean by that?
It's making sure that things are running smoothly around here, for the most part. Freeing her up to be able to do what she's always wanted to do, which is to be a mom. Devote herself to that wholly. That's all I can come up with. But again,
That's
I'm
good.
not her.
No, that's great. That's what makes you. The reason I asked that question just makes you kind of think of, what, like it makes you think about yourself,
Sure.
and you never really think like that. So she would say, to kind of mirror what you said, she would say that, she really appreciates you working hard so that she can, do what she loves as being a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what if I challenged her and I said, I don't really think that. What would, I don't know if I believe that. What would be an example that how does Josh do that? What would be an example or a story that she would tell me to kind of prove that?
It might be even while we were at the hospital when Thea was being born. So it was a complicated delivery. She spent several days in the hospital before Thea was born. Even there were definitely some health issues, both with her and some health concerns with Thea. And just number one, staying in the room with them the whole time, trying to be, like I said, we're way different, but trying to be, encouraging in the way I knew how, and the flexibility of being able to work the way I am. Taking care of things on that front as well, making sure that everything continued to run smoothly.
So you had your laptop with you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I had mine too when my
Yep.
daughter was born. I don't know if I didn't have it with my son, but I had it with my daughter. That was for sure. It's funny. All right,
Yeah,
cool,
I definitely
man.
had it in the recovery room, and I used it a little bit in the recovery room.
Yeah, and everything. Your daughter's healthy. Everything worked out. Your
Yeah,
wife's good. Okay, cool.
yeah, it
Good.
ended up being okay. Yep.
Nice. Dude, I know the hospitals, these doctors, they're godsends these days. Honestly,
Oh my word, the nurses that took care of her were fantastic. One of them, such an advocate for her. We had a doctor that had kind of a gruff bedside manner, which doesn't work when a woman's in labor, and she just needs, she needs more than just the technical side of what's being done and what needs to be done. And so we actually had one of the nurses go to bat for her on that and get a different one of the doctors in there, one of the ones that we'd loved.
that's That's cool. So you actually like requested like, hey, can we get this person
Yeah.
was being kind and actually cared about us. That's awesome. That's great. Um, well, now the next question I want to ask you then, Josh, is what is for you? What does it mean? Okay, I kind of have an idea of what you might say based on what we've talked about, but what does it mean to be a real man in I guess as a family man? Like, what does it mean to be a real man?
Uh, you know,
There's
I've
no
actually
right or
had a
wrong
hard.
here. It's just
No, I
what you,
know. No, this is honestly something I've mulled over for years, trying to kind of figure out.
yeah,
It's one of those questions that I kind of leave. I don't ever, I guess I don't ever chisel the answer in stone because I'm willing to change it if something new comes along that, sheds a different light on it. But um, I would say someone who fills the space wherever it's needed and puts those in his family first.
that's great. But awesome. That both of that was kind of along the lines of like others. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
So
I'm
doing
not a
that for
big,
them.
men have to do this and women have to do this, but like, you fill whatever needs done, you figure it out and you fill that space and you take care of those in the house.
Yeah. Do you feel a lot of pressure because of that? A lot of stress do you get having this single income pressure to fill those voids?
Sometimes, once in a while, it's not frequently.
Yeah.
I mostly like it, so it's fine.
Excuse me. Okay. How do you manage that then? Like, I mean, how do you keep your stress down? How do you keep those low levels down as a husband and dad and entrepreneur or worker? How do you keep those down? What do you do?
I guess a big part of it is, number one, it's liking what I do. Generally, that's just going to help keep stress down anyway.
Yeah.
Trying to work with, when it comes to work side of things, trying to work with people who are passionate about what it is that they offer. It's easy to get sucked into ventures with people who are business minded. But I'll tell you what, in my experience, it's a whole lot more fulfilling to work with people who are true believers in what it is they offer, who are almost more passionate about the product than they are about the business.
Mm,
Those are the people who don't burn out as fast, it seems.
mm, true.
So that on the business side of it would be that. Um, on the home front, hmm, not picking fights, I guess.
That's good. That's
That's
a good
yeah,
approach.
and where I can just kind of grow up and realize that it's not that important. Um, I just do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dropping the ego and just letting the conversation be. That's great. What about I know you're pretty active on social media commenting and all that. I was curious, does that have a lot to do with like, you have to stay in communication with people and be active for your job online?
That's a good chunk of it. Yeah. It's it's making sure that I'm in not only in constant contact with established relationships, but it's actually been a great way to find new ones.
Mm,
Um, mutual contacts are a huge thing on social media. It's easy to sort of introduce yourself that way. Um, and just as well, I've actually found a variety of service providers that I've used that way as well. So
yeah.
yeah, it's been helpful. I go through phases where I'll be really active, and then I'll kind of go through a hiatus where I just to me it's a tool, and it's fine to enjoy it. Um, I never want to be beholden to it, but yeah, it can be useful, and so yeah, I stay active on it when I can.
That's interesting. You said you go through phases where you're on it a lot, then you're off, because I do the same exact thing. And I'm not even sure
Mhm.
why that happens or why I do that. Like all of a sudden I'll just be like, I just don't want to be very active like today or tomorrow or the next day. Sometimes I'll go 4 or 5 days and just don't want to be active on social media. What do you think's behind that? Like, why do you think that is like that?
I think it could. I don't think there's any one thing. I think for me, I think I get tired of the soup of the day. So when something becomes really popular and it's being talked about, and I feel like
Mm,
it's all I'm going to see on there, and it gets talked about to death, I just don't want to deal with it. Or if it's something that I can tell is going to stress me out, or it's going to involve me too much, it'll become too important to me. I just tend to try to stay away from it anyway.
That's actually beautiful. I like how you said that, because it almost is like there's an energy that you kind of feel as soon as you start to feel like this it's more of a burden and more of a stress to look at it,
Yeah.
and an annoyance almost. And you're like, you know what, I'm going to pull away for a little bit. And you just kind of naturally do it.
Yep.
That's cool. I never really thought too much about why.
Yeah. I think of it like a maelstrom, like a whirlpool. Like if you get too close, you kind of get sucked into it, and then you waste way too much time there. And so a lot of times I look at my day and I think that's just not even really what I want.
Yeah. That's interesting. So I'm jumping around because we have a half hour, and I want to make sure I cover some stuff here with you, for my audience. And so we talked about like, something you're going through with your wife, and, what she would say about you and things like that. What about your daughter? What's the best and worst part about being a dad?
Gosh, it's hard to come up with the worst.
Hardest, I'll say. I say
Okay,
worst because I really want to
that's
make
fair.
it dramatic.
That's fair. No, so the hardest part is the constant fear that I'm missing something, because she's growing so fast, and she's developing new words almost on a daily basis. She's her motor skills are getting better, and just spending time working. I'm so close to her proximity wise. She's right there.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that I'm missing something, that something's happening without me. The best part is seeing the bond form between her and me. It's so much fun. We have kind of a standing rule, because I know like there's some days that can end up taking a lot of my time here in the seat, never leaving the seat. So we have a rule in the house where bath time is daddy time. I do bath time every day, pretty much no matter what. And it's a way of kind of making sure that if I'm missing something for the day, I'm not missing the whole day. I'm carving out that time specifically to spend with her. And so that time has been, I look forward to it. It's my favorite part of the day. Nice. Because it's in about an hour. We spend an hour. She plays in the tub. We have fun, and it's just her and me, and it's a great time.
That's awesome. Does she have a favorite toy right now, or something you guys like to do while she's in the tub?
Yeah, actually, in the last week and a half or so, she's had a favorite toy. It was a piece of swag I brought home from Affiliate Summit. It was a little rubber ducky.
Oh, nice.
A little black rubber ducky. And because she loves rubber ducks.
Okay.
And so I just tossed it in, and she loves this one because it makes noise when it squeaks when she squeezes it, and she likes that.
Yeah, that's great. Well, it's interesting that, you probably get more than people have to go to an office. You probably get to see more with your daughter, right? See more of the stuff, but you still have the fear of missing out, even though you're able to be there for a lot of it, which is,
I tell my wife all the time, I was like, I wish I could just be paid for a while to just hug her and play with her all day.
Yeah.
Cause I would do it.
Yeah. That's great. I feel I can sympathize, I guess is the right word, with that, because I've said that many a times on my podcast episodes. So I totally understand. I enjoy work. I enjoy creating. I enjoy building.
Right.
But I think right now I just enjoy so much of like being there and seeing the growth with them. And we'll go through phases. They'll go off to school and be like, all right, I'm okay with this. That's fine. It's the phase right now.
Right.
I was talking this was interesting, and I'll say it here. I was talking to Catherine, and my wife, and it randomly popped in my head the other day related to this, that, so many people when their kids are born, at least I feel this way, they grind out to provide for the family. All of a sudden now they're in high gear, right? They're working longer, they're doing more hours, and it's creating more stress and more anxiety. And these are the years that are where they're developing the coolest, where you're like seeing so many like, whoa moments, right? And they're not in school yet. Right. So maybe if you have the opportunity to, based on your job, maybe these are the years that you should slow down a little bit, actually. and
Yep.
enjoy your time with them. And then when they're 4 or 5 years old and they're starting to go to school, then pick up your pace of your work a little bit more,
Right. That's
which is
kind of what I
interesting.
figured out in the last 6 months or so, and I've kind of been doing that. Yep.
Yeah.
Working less. Yep.
Yeah. Finding a better balance of seeing them and work kind of coming a little bit more second.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really, I might push that message a little bit more as I talk to people, and put posts up and stuff, because I think it's really cool message. So what do you
Nice.
think?
What do I think? I think
Yeah, what do you
that's a
think
good
about
idea.
that? Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
I was just curious, because it sounds like actually you already kind of have thought about that.
Yeah, I already think I mean, it's something I've kind of come to realize later than I should have, but I've kind of come to realize is important. And so,
Yeah.
when it comes to, what, I can quit now. In fact, I did that yesterday. It was, gosh, it wasn't even quite 5 o'clock, or for me, it was 2 days ago. It wasn't even quite 5 o'clock yet. And I was like, you know what? I can quit now. It's fine. It'll be here. Like I can hop on after you go to bed. It'll be fine. But for now, like everyone's awake and I can spend time with everyone. So that's what I'm
Yeah.
going to do.
That's awesome. That's great. It's great to have that awareness. Are you a meditator or anything like that?
Not
Yoga?
regularly. It is something I do. And it's, I used to, and I got into it really late because I didn't really know what it was. When I had someone explain it to me in terms that were just, in terms that made a lot of sense, it was just focusing on one thing. It doesn't have to be repetitive, but it helps if it is. And so he said, me, I just listen to the inside of my body breathing. And I said, that sounds like it would be really helpful. So that's what I do. I sit just like this. I put my arms forward and I just close my eyes and I do that for maybe 5 minutes.
Beautiful.
Usually in the morning. Like I said, it's not a regular thing. It's just,
Yeah.
if I sit down and I have a few minutes, I'll just do that first. But yeah, it's nothing. I don't spend a whole lot of time into it. I haven't delved into it a lot. I've seen some benefits to it, certainly.
Well, you just seem like you have and you've always seemed that you've always had a calm, relaxed, like chill out demeanor. So I just thought maybe that you did some of that practice. This was a high intensity life, high intensity game that we're in, especially in the in the internet
Sure,
marketing business. So it's
sure.
cool to see that you have that.
I've always been pretty good at switching on and off with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes to a fault, I guess. When it comes to dealing, when it comes to trying to be supportive and helpful to someone who isn't that way, I'm not very good at it. It's something I'm continuing to try to figure out and learn how to do better. But yeah, and part of it's that, and part of it's that I've done my best to we've done our best, to make elements of our life as manageable as possible, so that we have more time for the important things.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I'll ask you a final question here. If you, and you've been great. I really appreciate all this stuff you've
Sure.
said and the vulnerability. I usually ask either, and I'll let you pick. It's the first time I'll do a you pick. I usually ask either if you were to pass away, what do you want it to say on your tombstone? And there's not a lot of room on there. Or I
Sure.
ask if you could go back and say anything to your 18-year-old self, and your 18-year-old self would listen, what would you say to them and tell them? So those are the two I usually ask. I wonder what you would want to answer.
Gosh, those are both great questions. Like I like them both.
Pick one, Josh.
Okay, yeah. Um, hmm. I think I would go back to my 18-year-old self and tell him not to be afraid to go alone, professionally. I spent a lot of time kind of prepping to not do that. And like I said, I kind of fell into affiliate marketing by accident. It just happened to be, I knew a guy. It was Vinny Fisher's kids were in my wedding, and that's just how, that's how I got plugged in. Um, so it was an accident. But I never would have considered it before then. And I think if I had really kind of committed to prepping myself to do that, I would have been better prepared to start doing it earlier.
Yeah, I like that's great. I've asked that question a lot and never had a response like that, and it makes it just shows what you love and what what you cherish most and why you wanted to,
Yeah.
go on your own. What stopped you before? Like what were you doing before that?
Oh, well, so I went to school for nothing related to marketing or anything. I went to school kind of to be a pastor,
Oh,
if you can
okay.
believe it. Yeah, I have a degree in religious studies, but when I got
Preach.
out, yeah, no, no, I never got into it. But no, I just kind of assumed that was what you did. I grew up around people. When you got out of college, you got a job. That was just what you did.
Hmm.
Entrepreneurs were people whose parents had enough money to fund their initiatives, and they found something that worked. I didn't really understand the whole idea of bootstrapping. Not that I would have been opposed to it. It had never really occurred to me,
Sure, sure.
at least on a large scale.
Yeah,
So yeah, it was
I
that
see.
I didn't really view it even as an option because I didn't really think about it at all.